I, Daniel K. Bracewell Jr., do solemnly swear that my testimony that I've come to give before the TRC of Liberia is the truth and nothing but the whole truth. So help me God.
Please be seated.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. On behalf of the Commission, we want to say welcome and say thanks to you for taking up your valuable time to come and share with the Commission. As you know, our effort is aimed at laying the foundation for reconciliation in our country. Reconciliation is a process. It's going to take some time, but the basis for that is for us to understand what happened, who did wrong, what went wrong, establish the truth, and in that way all Liberians can rally around that truth, say this is what happened, and we are prepared to move forward. And at the Commission, we thought that it is not sufficient to read newspapers or go on the internet, and that it will serve the purpose even more if we have live witnesses coming forward. People who were victimized, people who acted during the period, people who were involved, people who witnessed what happened, just to come and share those experiences so that we learn from the experiences of others what actually transpired at a time when we were not there or we are at different locations in the country. So we thank you very much. It's against that background that you have come along with many others who have come before you and will be coming after you, to explain your role during the conflict period as briefly as possible and to clarify any allegation that may be made against you during the process. I will just take this time, Mr. Witness, to introduce the commissioners to you. At the far right is Commissioner Sheikh Kafuma Kone. Next to him is Commissioner Per Brown-Bull. Next to her is Commissioner Umu Sila. Immediate at my right is Commissioner Dede Dorope. Immediate at my left is Commissioner John Stewart and Commissioner Gerald Coleman, who will perhaps just step out. I would just like to, before you make your presentation, just read over a little profile we have of you so that you can correct whatever misleading or mistaken information we may have. That you were a member of the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, and then currently a member of the National Patriotic Party. That you are a career soldier and a mortician, and once attended or graduated from the St. Peter Cavalry High School. That you joined the MPFL in 1990, and in 1991 you underwent military training in Burkina Faso and Libya, and that in 1994 to 1996 you were Deputy Chief of Staff at the Executive Mansion Presidential Guard Force in Banga, responsible for the Executive Mansion grounds. And between 1997 and 2000 you were an executive officer and at the same time mortician at the Barclay Training Center. And between 2000 and 2003, you were a commander at the 1st Infantry Battalion. One allegation that stands out, which we love for you to address yourself to, is one that became very popularized, that an AFL soldier lost his life on account of other orders you gave or your personal action. I will just stop there and leave the details with you. Welcome again, sir, and the podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Again, I would like to say Daniel K. Bracewell, the Bracewell Hill from Arlington. My mother is a Knuckles from the Carisburg area. I was born in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. There where I attended my primary and education. I went to the St. Peter Clever High School from elementary up to senior high. There where I graduated in the year 1988, 89. My father was in the position to have sent me to Frankfurt, West Germany. There where I practiced my profession. I did veterinary science, even though I did not complete because of the war. And I will come back to that early May of 1990, my grandfather died, the late R.L.S. Knuckles. He died in Carisburg, and I had to leave Frankfurt, West Germany to come for the funeral. I arrived in Liberia. At the time, they were not SN Brussels. We had Sabina Airways at the time. I arrived in this country 3 days before my grandfather's funeral. I went to Buchanan, and my parents and I left, came to Carisburg, and May 19, while we were burying my grandfather, the news came that Buchanan was captured. If you have exact report, you will know that May 19, 1990, Buchanan was captured from the hands of the government, from the AFL. Rebels had taken over Grand Bassa County. And unfortunately for me, because I knew that we were going to Carisburg to bury my grandfather and return to Buchanan. So my passport, my ticket, everything left in Buchanan, and we came on to Carisburg. After the funeral, we got the information that Buchanan was captured, and that became very difficult for me because I knew that I had to go back to complete my profession. I had to go back to Germany to school. So my question to my parents were like, but how can this happen? I need to go to Buchanan. I need to go back to Germany. You spend all your money to send me to Europe to study, and then we've been called in this direction. So they say, oh, there's war. You don't know what war is, but you just have to forget it and see if we can make some other means for you to get back to Europe. And I said, no, but I can't go back to Europe because the problem was every 3-4 months I had to come home to renew my visa because it was a student visa. So I was not given a resident. I was given a student visa that I had to come home every 3-4 months to renew my visa and to go back to the States. To go back to Europe. So they said there was no way possible. So what I did, I went to bed, and the next morning I told them, I said, okay, I will take the car, I will go to my road vessel, it's right Carisburg. I will drive like 20 minutes, get to town and see how best I can go at the embassy and see if we can make some arrangement for me getting back. But I had my own motive. I left Carisburg and I made a detour, you pass Carisburg, going towards Fender. I made a detour, came out of Carisburg, and I took the back route, got to 15 Gate, and I decided to drive on to Buchanan. On my way to Buchanan, there was surveillance on the road, and there were no cars moving and all that kind of thing. So because I had gone for 9 months to 10 months of study into my profession as a mortician, so I did not want to quit. So I said, despite what situation is, I must go to Buchanan to get my ticket, to get my passport, to be able to get out of here. And I drove on, I passed Folesville, I passed Hartford, that is on the Buchanan Highway. Approaching Buchanan, in the vehicle, I just saw a group of soldiers on the road, and then I stopped. But knowing that I came from Buchanan and My father at the time worked for Lamco. My father was the senior foreman of Lamco. He worked at the washing plant, and we lived in a loop. We lived Lamco camp. We had access to communication, telephone. We had access to. We were living good. We were living happy. My father had no problem with Samuel Doe, the late President Samuel Doe, because we were fine at the time. But most of the guys in Buchanan knew me because I was kind of, you know, I was big boy on my own. That's about me living with my parents. At an early age, I started driving, taking my parents' car to school, and you know, having my girlfriend and all that kind of thing. So a lot of the guys knew me in Buchanan, and already they had joined the organization. They had joined the MPFL. So when I was caught up in this area, most of the guys told the commander, said, "Oh, this is our big brother. We don't even know that he's in the country. All we know he's in Europe. He going to school." So I said, "Yes, indeed, I came to Buchanan, but I had to leave to go bury my grandfather in Carisburg. Only the year that was probably in Buchanan, and there's nothing I can do. I need to get my passport. I need to get my ticket. I need to go back to school." So they say, "Okay, but let us take you to the commander." They took me to the commander. And I talked to them because I feel I was smart and I could talk people out at the time. So I told them that I live in a loop. I live loop 506. There where my parents live, and my ticket, my passport, everything there. So I asked them, I said, "Please take me in the loop. Let me get my things so I can go." But already, man, you know when rebel hit somewhere, man, everywhere destroyed. When they managed to take me to Buchanan, when they managed to take me in the loop, I went. The first thing I saw was my ticket in the yard. And my ticket had been destroyed, had been torn up. My passport was somewhere lying as placed. No one could even say, you know, this a passport. So I knew my trip to Buchanan was for naught, and seeing the situation, seeing guys, you know, I was kind of jet-trick, you know, because people were dressed up all kinds of way, all kinds of fun. Then I said to myself, then, you know, my friend, those guys that knew me and considered me being a big brother, they said, "Big brother, this thing here right now, no need to go by. The people who allow you to go by, they will say you on recording saying you came to spy us and so. So I say, okay, fine. But you guys are my small brother, you guys hold the arm. I your big brother, it means if I hold the AK, then I can hold GFG. So I will stay here, I will be part of this organization whatsoever. If I have to go for training, take me to the commander so we can start the process." And I was not forced, I willingly joined the MPFL National Patriotic Front of Liberia. They had a training camp at Wellenberg Training Center, WTC, where Lamco used to train people for various work. You know, probably you mechanic, you go there for your training. If you were mason, you go there, you studied masonry. They went had a training base. So I said, "Gentlemen, just take me to the base. I want to become part of this process." So I was taken to the base where we learned how to assemble and disassemble. And from there, we were chosen, we were put on board on a ship to travel to Cape Mount County. First of all, the instructions were we're traveling to Cape Mount County for Cape Mount to be captured. And I was like, damn, but I ain't know nothing about swimming. They come and put me on ship for us to go capture. Anyway, that's the operation. I'm already inside. You know, when you're in the water, you can't think about getting wet again. So we left that night and we got to Cape Mount by means of the sea. We got to Cape Mount by 5:30, 6:30 in the morning, and we captured Cape Mount. But I was very motivated. I was very smart. We captured Cape Mount, and I was always on the advance team. So while some men were carrying on mapping up in Cape Mount, I was on the advance team to go to Robertsport intersection, where we proceeded to Bullwater Star and had that area captured. So we left some friends. We left some fighters in Cape Mount in Robertsport itself, and we advanced. that were my first obstacle, that were my first target. We stayed in that area for some time. Late 91, I was called. At the time, the commander in Bombing Hills was the late Oliver Varney. And because of my smartness and my movement, I was told to report to Bangor County, where that the commander-in-chief had some other assignment for me. And I was able to travel 2.5 days because we traveled through the jungle, got to Bangor. And the leader, again I met the leader. It was not strange to me. I'm a Bracewell, he's a tailor from Arlington. So right away he said, "You little boy, where's your father?" I said, "My father is fine, but the war, I left him in Carriesville, probably he's in Monrovia." He said, "We family." I said, "Yes, sir. My father told me that long time. When this whole thing came about, my father told me, he said, 'Oh, Charles Sarah happens to be our family, so I know you my cousin.'" He said, "Very good, but you've been selected by your commander, the late Oliver Varney. At the time he was still alive. You've been selected by General Varney to go and further your training. You must go to do your advanced infantry training. You must be able to go to your basic combat training." So I was given an opportunity along with other friends like Martina Johnson. She went to do artillery. We're opportunity to have traveled to Burkina, where we did some training there, and also advanced up to Tripoli, where I did basic combat training, advanced infantry training. I did guerrilla operations. I did guerrilla ideology, and I did anti-tracking. And at the end of that graduation, we were told the entire troop was to go into the bush. Before graduating, the troop were told to go into the bush, and on your return from the bush, you must come with a living deer to be presented to the chief. And I tell you, I was among those that went into the bush and came back with a living deer to be presented to the chief. Later on, we returned, and then we had to carry on our operations. Again, I was assigned into Buchanan as deputy to the late General Michael Carr. Michael Carr was the commander in Buchanan, and I was the deputy. It was unfortunate that a situation happened. There was an SOP that was written that any soldier found raping, any soldier found harassing should be executed. There was a situation that occurred that 2 soldiers from the artillery division were found in rape, and we went in search of those soldiers. Fortunately for us, we were able to arrest one of the soldiers, and he was identified by those that were involved. And because we had an SOP, General Carr had no duty but to execute the soldier. That was according to Uniform Code of Military Justice. He had an immediate call that he had to proceed to Bangor County, so he left me in charge to continue the process. And we carry on our work in search of the other soldier. Later on, the soldier was arrested, questioned, and identified by the same people that, yes, this was the other man that raped me. And we had no instructions but to carry on the execution. Man, when that execution was carried out, his friends from the artillery division grew wild. It's, "Oh, but General Carr and his people cannot keep executing our people and this and that." So it brought a serious tension in Buchanan, for which there was no way out. There were calls from Bangor that the situation should be arrested. In fact, the artillery commander went in search looking for me, that since we were killing the soldiers, they were going to kill us too. So the overall commander came and said, look, this is a situation, so we're going to arrest you to carry on investigation. It was so tense that upon Michael Carr's return, because at the time there was no written order given to me to execute this order, and seeing how tension the situation was, I could see within my commander, the late Michael Carr, that he wanted to exempt himself from such situation. And I was smart, I was bold, I had traveled, I was out of high school. So I said, the way I see this thing, if I admit now that General Michael Carr gave me the execution, I won't have room for explanation. So when I was asked, who gave you the order? I said, no one did. I did it upon my own orders, so as to save the day. So I was arrested, and there was investigation carried out, whereas I knew other commanders like the defense minister at the time, General Woyu, was there, that they were going to carry out some investigations. And based upon that, I was released to carry on my duty. That was one of the situations that happened. It became a problem. Maybe you people have been told about that. So I want to hit every point that I'm involved in, because mine being called here is to know my role that I play. Okay, and then we carry on our work. 1993-94, we got the information that Banga had fallen, so we had to leave to come and beat up the situation, to beat up the fight. But again, before carrying on situation, we work tirelessly in Buchanan to ensure that the citizens were safe. I was assigned to Compound 3, Compound 4, where I carry out my duties. And you know, in every society, there must be bad people. There was a group called the Kasaka group. If actually the commission said that they went all over this country, I know very well that information and such came out, so I will talk on those issues before, when the question comes, I'll know exactly how to place things. A group called Kasaka, they were carrying on. In fact, it was because of the Kasaka that led to the infiltration of LPC into Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. This group was very wicked. They were killing our people, and in fact, I consider myself be a Bassa man because I was born in Grand Bassa County. As a matter of fact, I was born 1968, August 19. This group was carrying on atrocities. They were killing people, and you know, it's so pathetic that I would say this, but you know, we are here at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We will say nothing but the truth. Big guys were taking 9 months old pregnant women and debating on them. You will look at this 9 month old pregnant woman and say, I say Guma or Pasa. The child in this woman, the child that this woman is bearing is a boy. The other guy will say, no, it's a girl. And how did they know that? Was to kill that lady, open her abdominal to know whether if it were a boy or a girl. This situation went on for a while, that created sensation into district number 3, district number 4. So I was instructed by the defense minister at the time, Honorable Dana Chair, to go out in search of those bastards that were causing such problem. Fortunately for me, those guys were arrested under my command and brought to LAC, where we were basing, and we called to Banga and informed the commander-in-chief at the time, and the commander-in-chief sent people from Bangabong County to set up a co-martial pool to have the guys investigated and actions to be taken. A poll was set up in Lac. Investigations were carried out. The guys involved were 14. But one that said, I will not lie, it's true, we are involved in this act. The guys were putting people, in the kitchen, they got hot, where the people that put the rice, the farm rice, put up to get dry from the heat that, that they make under the fire, and, the heat goes up there that dry the rice. The guys were devastating. They were lightning 5-gallon, empty gallon container. They would put fire on it, and they would put it up and grab surveillance, lay them down, and burn. As the container is burning, the heat or the burning of the container falling on these people's back. I mean, that's the kind of atrocities they were carrying out. The guys were investigated and they were found guilty. One of them that they called Bassa, may his soul rest in peace. He died not from battle, but I think he was sick, because it says what a man does day after him. He was sick, he died, but we used him as a state witness that testified and admitted that it's true they were involved in such act. And those guys were executed for the mayhem that they committed. I was part of that. So we were called on to Banga because Banga had fallen. So the commanding-in-chief instructed all frontline commanders to put men to help build up the strength to be able to recapture Banga. And because we were trained professional soldiers at the time, we joined forces and we were able to capture Banga from the hands of Ulimo K and LPC. After the fall of Banga, I was called on by the commander-in-chief, and I was promoted to the rank of Major General. That was 1994. Major General assigned Deputy Chief of Staff for the Executive Mansion Presidential Guard Force. There I served up to 1996 until disarmament. If you can recall, the first disarmament in this country occurred in 1996, for which we were part of. I led the Executive Mansion Presidential Guard Force for disarmament, 1996. After disarmament, we were told to remain in Banga to work along with the surveillance in making sure there were peace and stability within that county. There were no harassment, there were no intimidation, because we were preparing ourselves for elections. Elections came 1997, and we became victorious of the elections. I told the commander-in-chief, besides the MPRAG spending money on me to go for further training, before this whole thing, my parents were also in a position to have sent me abroad where I studied my profession. So I would like to go into the AFL to practice my profession. I want to go to the AFL to justify my MOS, which is Military Occupation Specialty. So I was ordered to report to the late Chief of Staff after elections at the time, the late Prince Johnson, and a special order came up. It was not an easy thing not being a Deputy Chief of Staff during the crisis, and then after elections, becoming a captain and assigned at BTC Mall as executive officer. That didn't mean anything because I knew I was there to justify my MOS. I became executive officer BDC Morgue. My commander at the time was Colonel Thomas T. Freeman. He's alive, he's here. He's known as Day-by-Day Freeman. Probably people here know him. He was my commander from 1997 after elections up to 2000. I want to touch on a case that occurred here at the time Ama Yulu was giving his testimony, for which I hold this commission responsible of, because I went through the process. Before coming here, I was told to go at the office on 9th Street to be interviewed, and then based upon that, I was going to be called here to carry on my testimony. But the guy came, I don't know who he was, or I don't know who he is. He was among the audience here when Aman was giving his testimony, because he said he knew certain things that occurred during 1998, and he came up here and said it was the late Samuel G. Fanning, John L. Tier, I think he was here 1 or 2 days ago, T. Zebe, and DKB. He said DKB, did not even call my full name. My name is Dana K. Bracewell, for friends called it short DKB. He said DKB, they went to Post Target and they had a list, they called people, and because they called my name and I did not answer for my name, because I did not answer to my name, so they did not care for me to be executed. Now tell me that. That fellow, I wish he was here, because this is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I wish he was here. If there were any malice or any problem that he had with me, I wish he was here for us to settle it. As a professional soldier, let me tell you something. In every military installation, you have MP and you have a cell. Because the only thing you can do to a soldier man is to grab him and put him in jail. That's the only punishment a soldier man will rather take. And the accomplishment of any mission is the successfulness of that mission. Let me tell you something. Dana K. Bracewell, in fact, on the training base, to tell you, never wound a man and let him go. So I would have never been among those that would have gone at the post target to collect somebody and calling me and before getting to that post target to collect whosoever that I have to carry on, because I had instruction. Before getting there, the government or the MP there were already did not call your face there with black cloth. I only coming to take you to carry you. He's talking about I was there 1998. I was not even commander at Shuffling. I was assigned BDC. I was at BDC Mall. I was seen September 18, 1998. I was seen around collecting bodies from around there, soldiers and civilians as well, because there were crossfire between the Ulimo J and the government of Liberia at the time. So whether who killed who, I don't know, but I was seen within that vicinity collecting bodies from around there, taking to BDC Mall. And those surveillance that we took to BDC Mall ensured that those bodies were preserved, and family members came and identified those bodies, and they were signed for and taken away to be buried. So at no point in time, like I said earlier, my father had no problem with Samuel K. Doe for me to go about killing ground people. In fact, at one situation, I was jailed at Post Target. There where I met General Jali. So help me God, General Jali is still alive. The former chief of staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia, Lieutenant General Herman Duba, son was there. Duba, I just can't remember his first name. They were all there. We ate together. And because they knew that I was very close to the commander-in-chief at the time, they even urged me. They said, look, TKB, when you honor here, go and talk to the chief. Some of us were not involved in this thing. We've just been grabbed because of our ethnic background. I took the call into consideration, and when I was released, I was opportune to have met the commander-in-chief at the time, and I said, look, chief, we have some people in jail. Those people were not involved. You got General Jali. He's a professional soldier. He's a general. those people can still help in the process. You know, the Bible says God delays, but he does not forget. The commanding chief did not answer me at the time, but within a period of 5-6 weeks, those people, including General Jolly, Tuba, they were all released. So at no point in time, in fact, when after the elections 1997, I lived at BTC up to 2000 when I was called to take up the assignment as 1st Battalion Commander. Even during the September 18 fracas, there were other units like the SOT at the time. They were not even the ATU. There were the SSU that came on in mapping up in the barracks, and I was there. And through me, there were a lot of situations that saved the day, because I couldn't have been at BDC more and seeing other soldiers coming to carry on mischief around the area. So it was because of me. I knew the former 1st Battalion Commander under President Doe regime, Moses Wright. I knew the AD camp to the former president, Alfred Glade. We were all friends. I visited those people because I wanted to learn. So I visited those people. I talked with them every day at BDC. And because the BDC mall was there to generate funds to help run the fuel and other activities at the Ministry of National Defense, so we were always in a position to have little things. So I visited those big brothers and I shared my concerns, so we were very close. I have no problem with no crown man because he was a crown man or whatsoever. No. In fact, during the Doe regime, during former Doe regime, I enjoyed it because my father worked for Lamco at the time, and my father had money. And vacation. We traveled to the States. We had other opportunities. So there was no way that I had anything against Doe regime. But you know, in the country, when you were part of Doe government, you buy. Take up, I forget it. I won't even say that one there. Not until 2000, I was called upon by the commanding chief, executive order, to become 1st Battalion Commander. But before taking up such position, I was sent to the Liberian Senate for confirmation, and for which I passed that, and I was commissioned by the President to become 1st Battalion Commander. I served as 1st Battalion Commander up to 2003. As we got closer, and the reason I became 1st Battalion Commander, the chief called me and said, "Look, my man, that we're fighting war right now. I know you're not justify your MOS. You've been at BTC more there. You know, you bomb a lot of soldiers. You bomb a lot of surveillance as well. Because you people, not only military boy, you can bomb there. I know you, TKB, I can hear surveillance all on the radio. This body will be taken from the BTC more. I know you doing anything here, but look, listen, the country is at war. You've been trained. You're a professional soldier. You need to take out the 1st Battalion Commander to have some responsibility." So I said, "Mr. President, I'm willing." So we started the process. I had oversight responsibility of the executive mansion, even though there were the ATU there, but in the military scope operation, 1st Battalion has a full responsibility of the executive mansion, the FM ELPC, and because I came from Arlington and there were attacks from the Babalu area along the Swamaka Highway, he said, "Look, my man, go to your own home to protect that," which was Arlington. I also have oversight responsibility also. And you know, once you're in the army, you took oath to defend and to protect this nation. There were other paths that all AFL personnel, once you've been identified as an AFL soldier, you must go to the front line to fight. So that order came from the commanding chief down to the defense minister, and it was passed. You know, there's chain of command in the army. So the orders came down that anywhere You see AFL soldier, once he's been identified as an AFL soldier, he must go to the front line to fight. It happened in a case where today, one captain, Captain Sumo, he was we picking up from red light on our way to the front line. We had to come through town to on Buchanan Street there at the Aminata filling station to get fuel oil. We passed through the barracks thinking that we'll see other soldiers to get on board the pickup, but there were no. We pick up fewer guys. So on board the pickup, there were not only 1st Battalion soldiers, there were other soldiers from various units that we arrested and had on board the pickup to go to the front line to fight in defense of the country. We passed through the barrack and drove out, came on Lane Street, turned left, came down to defense, to bend right to come up to Buchanan Street at the Aminata filling station here. Captain Sumo was on board the pickup, and I think he felt because we were passing in front of the Ministry of National Defense, he thought on jumping off the pickup. I was driving the pickup at the time and I heard, hold it, Chief. So I stopped. When I stopped, Captain Sumo jumped off the pickup and was running towards the ministry. So, soldiers that sound on the pickup went grabbing, fighting to put him on board. They put him on board, he's fighting, so those guys using the arm, knocking him to subdue him, to have him on board, put him on board, and then we got on board the pickup, came at the Aminata filling station here to get fuel. After getting fuel, because I had other obligations, I already had men on, I had a commander already on the front line on the Swamega Highway, because at the time we're attacking Lurd. Yeah, 2003, that was Lurd. So I said, look, I designated a commander, Ernest Squabo. I said, Ernest, you hereby order to take these men on the front line. I'm not going because I have other obligations. I have to go back to shuffling the men that are there, and they just fixed the truck. I need to airlift these men to the front line. So you take the pickup with a few guys on board, and then take them on the front line and turn them over to the commander that is there. Yes, sir. After getting the fuel, they left. After an hour, I got a call because at the time, we were all equipped with Toraya phones, where you could talk to anybody from anywhere, whatsoever you were. Once you're using this Toraya phone, you could talk to your commander or whosoever you needed to talk with. Even you could call back home when you were in Foya, you were in Vahum, you were in Vanyaman, you were in Babulu. You could talk back to Monrovia on the Toraya. I received a call, say, Chief, this same fellow that tried to jump off the pickup in front of the Ministry of Defense, on our way, he jumped off the pickup, and that's how come the pickup was moving. He broke his neck and he died. I said, where are you guys right now? He said, we're on the front line. I said, since it's the front line, and there's no need of bringing this fellow back to town, you guys bury him up there. I'm going to make the report and file in to the Commanding General, Deputy Chief of Staff, up to the Defense Minister. So he said, yes, sir. And they were able to bury him. A few days later, Roman had it that our Colonel Daniel K. Bracewell at the time executed Captain Flomo in front of the Minister of National Defense. It was regrettable. I would have never done something such. I would have never gotten myself involved in such incident. To execute a soldier in front of the Minister of National Defense, then the next thing on your mind would be heading to the executive mansion. Because if you grab a soldier and execute him in front of the Minister of National Defense, then what are you up to? You know, and because the family of Captain Sumo got the information that I did the act, I was able to meet this family. I spoke with them, I talked with them. We had good relationship. I made them to understand, look, my people, if I had done such, I would tell you, there's no way I got involved in executing Captain Flomo in front of the Minister of National Defense or whatever. I got a report that on the way to the front line, he jumped off the pickup and he died. I made friends. We carried on our own reconciliation. That's why I even thought that maybe, you know, getting the TRC involved would have helped this process, but the family being here and see how best we can resolve the issue, because I know if you commit a crime in this country, once you've reconciled and willing to forgive, willing to say sorry, whatsoever problem, whatsoever punishment that you deserve will come down, because that's what I believe in. I came from a family, as I told you earlier, my mom is a Knockers, my father is a Bracewell, so there's no way I would have gotten myself in such act. And so far, that's my role I play. Anything else, any question, probably will take. I have other things to say, but maybe during the question time, I will be in a position to answer. But that's it, that's my role I play. And I want to tell you thank you very much, Honorable Commissioners.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness, for candidly providing us this information from your perspectives. And it's based upon your personal experiences, and you are quite willing to share others with us just as we proceed with the interaction. There are two things before commissioners ask their questions. There are two things to these incidents that I would like you to respond to. The people in Buchanan spoke a lot about what the Kasaka boys were doing.
Yeah.
And they were very, very happy that that incident was brought under control.
Yeah.
But one thing they were dissatisfied with is the manner in which the bodies were disposed of. I don't know what was the logic or the wisdom behind that. And what they told the commission is that the bodies were left on the field and just covered with little.
No, Honorable Commission, they were buried into a mass grave. The 13 of them. They were executed in front of the people that were involved, and for which, let me tell you something. Today, if we went to Buchanan, district number 3, district number 4, the commissioner, we get there, the people gave me food before yourself because of the actions that we took against those people. Those guys were wicked. They were not part of the process. They meant their own thing. Probably, maybe it was good that we executed them. Maybe there were going to be another Prince Johnson.
So a 6-foot grave was dug and they were dumped in?
Not even 6, because they were 13. I think we dug a 9-foot grave. And I still remember the place. We can go there, and I can show you the area, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Then with respect to the second incident, you said there was an order. Was that order written?
In respect to the
Recruitment
Kasaka,
yes, no, not that. The situation of getting all EFL soldiers to go in the front and fight.
oh yeah, there were other published. There were
was a
other
published.
published. There were other published through the minister down to the chief of staff, to Makuma Wakuna, and all AFL personnel. To be
Okay.
part- Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sheikh?
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness.
Thank you very much, Godfather. I call you Godfather because you're gray hair.
You said excuse me. You served as Deputy Chief of Staff from 1994 to 1996, responsible to protect and defend the presidential executive mansion in Banga. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
We are told that among the men and women that were protecting executive mansion grant and the president at the time were a group called Small Boy Unit.
The SBU.
SBU.
Yeah, they were under my division. There were various divisions. We had the SBU, we had the Wagis, we had the Delta Force, we had the Type Force, we had the MP. So there were various units, but the SBU, yeah, the SBU was one of the units that were assigned under my command as Deputy Chief of Staff, Executive Master, Presidential Guard Force.
Can you tell us what were some of the assigned duties of these SBU?
Well, in every unit, there were a unit called the SBU. But in every battalion, in every brigade under the Executive Mansion Presidential Guard Force, there were SBU assigned to those units. So, like for instance, when you leave Banga, we had two checkpoints. We had, when you leave Banga coming towards Ganta, the first checkpoint we had was the VP Road, was the VP Road checkpoint, the VP checkpoint. From there, the next checkpoint was the Jenny Town checkpoint where we had the SBU assigned. So that was part of the responsibility of the SBU. They were assigned to checkpoints, they were assigned to various commanders, they were assigned even at the executive mansion.
In your estimation, if you are asked how old were these SBU, what would be your answer?
You see, a small boy unit. They were small, they were the age of 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
And used as trained career soldiers.
Yeah.
Do you think it was proper to use children of those ages?
It was not proper, but the children were going to feel that with depriving them of the right that they couldn't be part of the process. So they were not forced. Even the SBU commander, Supon Johnson, I'm sorry he's not here right now, he's in the States, but in fact, sometimes when we refuse them, those children were so, those children were serious to be part of the process. Sometimes we say, no, you're small. When we know, they kept being behind us. They came in the yard, they were living with us, washing our clothes, and and later on, we saw them, we saw them working. So this was a situation that these children, they wanted to be part of the movement.
Of the ages you talk about, do you think they were better placed to make an independent decision?
Excuse me, sir?
Of the ages you talk about, 11, 13, 14, you think they were better placed to make an independent decision as to whether they should participate in the army?
It was good to have made decision, but that decision we could not control it. We could not control it. No, we could not control it.
Is it true that you were among the first batch that was sent to Sierra Leone to fight?
You say, excuse me, the first batch to send to Sierra Leone?
The first batch of group of soldiers
to send to Sierra Leone?
That was sent to Sierra Leone.
But the situation in our country, we couldn't handle it much before I would leave to go to Sierra Leone. No, no, sir.
We didn't. As commander of the 1st Infantry Battalion, what was your assigned duties?
I said it earlier, my assignment was in making sure that the executive mansion got protected, the residence of the commander-in-chief was protected, ELBC, Central Morovia, part of Lower Mount Gibby, which is the base. Camp Shuffling, you're not changing to Cassidy, Barrett. People still call it Shuffling anyway. So, and I have oversight responsibility of Arlington and Pecan as well.
Heard that you were among group of gangsters that raped an 18 years old girl. What is your comment on that?
Which year was it? Did they say? Which year?
There's no specific year.
No specific year. But Honorable Commissioner, our deputy chief of staff, I will go rape. The woman that came to me. I didn't have to go look for any woman. No, sir. It's not true.
Thank you very much.